This episode of the Western Outdoor News Podcast is brought to you by the 16th Annual Trout Fest at Big Bear Lake. This 2-day trout fishing derby will be held October 2nd and 3rd. There will be tens of thousands of dollars in cash and prizes at stake. Trophies and prizes for adult big fish winners, Big 5 Kids Division, and the Big Bear community always rolls out the red carpet for the Western Outdoor News anglers. If you haven't already, go to wonews.com to sign up for the Western Outdoor News 16th Annual Trout Fest held at Big Bear Lake.
So as soon as it was there, I go, get him. And then we both, me and this other guy, we both shot at the same time. And this bird, big old cloud of feathers, fell down. And I'm like, yeah, there's my 10.
Hey folks, and welcome back. This is episode 34 of the Western Outdoor News Podcast. This week on the show, we have field reporter Andrew Mack. Mack talks about last week's dove opener, his hunt, and how he prepares dove for the grill. We then sit down with Larry Murphy of GOFISH.ROCKS. This newly integrated fish count system uses data graphs and is a new way to look at fish counts online. Western Outdoor News, along with some of the landings, are beginning to use this new, more intuitive fish count system. Larry goes over how it came to be and how the data-driven graphs can be used to pick the charter that's right for you. And without wasting any more of your time, folks, here's Andrew Mack with his dove opener report.
The first, I would say, obstacle would be finding steel ammo. Because California passed a law 2 years ago that you got to hunt, everything has to be lead-free. So that was the first challenge. Luckily, last year I was able to buy a couple cases of ammo. So I was all set to go. I just finished cleaning my guns. The week before there, I shoot two Benellis, 12 gauges, so I'm ready to go. Mm-hmm. So I called my buddies up and it turned out to, 6 people, turned down to 4 people, turned down to just me and my buddy ended up going. So we got all our stuff ready, headed out early Wednesday morning. I think we left my house around 2:00 from Ranch Cucamonga over there. So as we're getting closer to the dove field, we start seeing the lights out in the field, from different trucks and all this stuff. Like, oh, we're getting closer,
Yeah.
So finally, we pull up to the field there, and as soon as we open the door, just millions of mosquitoes. And I said, oh man, I hate mosquitoes, but it feels so good to be out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what area were you guys hunting?
We actually start out in Nyland.
Okay.
And then, from there we have a couple different fields that we kind of go to. Then I always look for like midday. I look for, the roosting area. So anything with bigger trees, anything like that, or shaded areas, that's where the dove are going to go. Typically that's how it's been, for the past 10 years that I've been going.
Yeah.
Out that way. So what was crazy about this year was, every time, I'm like, we got to limit out early, and then, it's going to be like 110 degrees out there, by 8 a.m., whatever it is. But as soon as we got there, we noticed, on the temperature gauge, it was only like 80 degrees. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is September 1st, right? We're not like in middle of November. So we get out and it was about 80 degrees at about 4:45 in the morning or so. But the humidity, oh my God, I was just out straight, just sticky. It was like I just went swimming.
Yeah, which is weird for that, for that area in that zone, isn't it?
Oh, it's definitely irregular. I would say that most, but they just had a storm, Monday, Tuesday. And what was crazy was as we're driving out there, there's like puddles on the middle of the road. There's mud everywhere. And I'm like, where are we going? Like, I'm thinking that the Salton Sea magically fill up and start spilling over the road. But I guess the storm came in and it pushed a lot of the birds out, and it definitely was not the normal, opener as a lot of hunters were used to.
Yeah.
So anyway, when we get out to the field there, we get set up and, it's approaching that time, shooting time. And I always do the countdown, like within the last 10 minutes. So I think shooting time this year was 5:47, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So at 5:35, I'm telling my buddy, hey, we got 12 minutes, and then 11, 10 minutes. And then finally it's shooting time, then it's like, okay, it's shooting time. But for me, it's like, you never want to be that first guy to shoot, you always want to wait to hear, the first shot off there.
Yeah.
But it was weird because 4:46 came along, shooting time, 4:47. 550, 555. And I'm like looking around like, wait a minute, I haven't heard any shots. I haven't heard any birds. The sun's coming up. I go, what's going on here? And then it was like at 6:01, I hear that boom, boom. Oh, okay, here we go. And then within probably 2 minutes, the first bird flew over and my second shot on him, dropped him, happened to be a white wing. So I was like, okay, it's going to be a good day. And then, a couple flew over my buddy, a couple flew back over me. And then a couple guys I knew, they showed up late. I guess they thought shooting time was like 6:30. So they ended up showing late. They got in the field, and we were probably up out there, I would say about a good half an hour or so. I think I needed one more bird for my 10 bird limit. Because with California, you're able to keep 15 birds a day. But your limit is 10 white wings maxed, and then you can get 5 mourning doves or 15 combined together. You just can't go over the 10 white wings.
Okay.
So I had 2 mourning doves at this time and 9 white wings. So I'm thinking like, okay, if I get one more white wing, like I'm done, and we got to go check another field that has more mourning doves, because the place we hunt, it's usually straight Eurasian collar doves, which are no limit, all year.
Yeah.
You also have, a lot of white wings come through here. And my buddy already had his 10, so he's already on his way back to the truck. Another friend and his brother showed up, and they spread out, and his brother saw me getting some shots, so he wanted to come over, and talk a little bit, and hopefully get some birds. So I saw this one white wing. It was way behind. It was coming over these tree lines, and I was like, man, if this thing comes right, it's going to break right in the middle of us. And sure enough, it was like clockwork. That thing turned right, and it was flying somewhat high, and it was just kind of coming right between us. And I yelled, I go, wait, don't shoot. We'll kind of want to make sure this bird passes that tree line. That way we have the best chance of retrieving it. So as soon as it was there, I go, get him. And then we both, me and this other guy, we both shot at the same time. And this bird, big old cloud of feathers, fell down. And I'm like, yeah, there's my 10. And then he goes, well, I shot it. I'm looking at him and I'm looking at me. I go, how many birds you got? And he goes, I don't have any. I go, all right, you got this one. So he went over, he's all smiling, and he's like, oh, I got one. He's all excited. He wanted to go to his brother and his dad, show him that he got one before those guys did. Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. I only needed one more. I'm like, there's got to be another bird. And I'm telling you what, man, it felt like the longest 15 minutes, because it was like that was the longest time a bird didn't fly by. And all of a sudden, I'm like sitting there, and then I seen this shadow to the right of me. I was like, I looked over to the right, and I was like, there's a whole group. There's like probably 7 or 8 of them. I was like, okay, I just need one. And the first shot, boom. So on the opener, I didn't see any Eurasian. To this day, on Saturday, I was able to drop 1 Eurasian, 1 white wing, and then a mourning dove. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's not gonna be that good, but hey, I can't complain, but getting all 3 species. So from there, again, the humidity was up. It was a little bit warmer that day. I mean, it was probably like, 94, I think. But it still wasn't like, like we're used to, 110 at like 8 o'clock. So from there, we went to a couple different fields, and, we set up, with the decoys and stuff out there, and waited, half an hour each time, and nothing. I mean, it was weird. I've never seen the fields like that hold the no birds. And I mean, I can hear, a couple shots, here in the distance, one here, but it was nothing, like it has been in the past 10 years, where it's like, it's just, nonstop. You're just hearing, shotgun shell, being fired off here and there, but it was nothing over there.
You just mentioned that you guys put up the decoys. Are you a firm believer in those decoys helping bring those birds in?
Yes. Oh, definitely.
They work
even
really
on
well.
The opener. Yeah. Even on the opener, if as the day goes on, the birds start getting more spooked, they're getting shot at and stuff. Those decoys, they definitely feel a lot safer. And what we noticed, especially running, because we run 2 of the Mojos, which are the electric ones that have like the spinning wings there.
Yeah, so you don't need the wind for them.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we have 3 to 4 of just the still ones that we kind of put, in the area. So it basically looks like, like there's doves landing in the area where they feel safe. And our success rate, I mean, from a few years ago hunting with nothing to hunting with, decoys now, it like boosted it up like 200%. Yeah. I mean, there was even times where like I'll watch a dove come in, and I know he's just honed right in on that decoy, and I'm like, I'm gonna wait and see what happens. I mean, I've had a few, come and land straight by the decoy and then stare at it for a little bit, and then get spooked and take off, and once they get some good air, I'm like, okay, now it's time to shoot them, But I think they just, it definitely helps, especially seeing that wing flicker, off in the distance. And, and when I go retrieve a bird, like kind of way out, and as I look back at the decoys, I'm like looking at them, and I'm like, man, they kind of do look like the real thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As when a dove, starts to land, and it does that little, like that last minute, wind flicker, or with the
Yeah,
wings, it's
they come to
like the white
slow
feathers.
themselves down because they're coming in at full
Yeah,
speed.
exactly. So I mean, yeah. So if you're not the kind of guy that that has his great field and he just wants to sit in a chair all day and hopefully they'll fly over. If you really want to, improve your bird count, I mean, definitely, invest in a couple decoys, especially those mojos. Those things work
Yeah.
really good.
I've heard not just from you, but just reading the paper and stuff, and just through the grapevine, guys talking about those mojos. So I know, hearing about them like that, it's definitely something that's working.
Oh yeah, definitely.
A lot of guys don't realize too, like, oh man, you're going dove hunting, how fun it is and how challenging it can be because these doves come in at full speed and you got to
Oh yeah.
really lead these birds because they're going, 35, 40 miles an hour sometimes.
Yeah, and you're right. It's like, especially, the day or 2 days after the opener when, the doves, they realize, hey, if we fly low and slow, we're going to get shot or shot at. Once these birds get educated, they know, okay, if we're flying through there, we better go high and fast.
Yeah.
So if you're hunting, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or so, a couple days after the opener, I hope you got a full choke, and you're saying, you got to lead them. You got to lead them, and
Yeah.
it's like it's a lot more challenging. But
Yeah.
with the dove opener, it's kind of like the first like hoorah of like hunting season. So I mean, one thing I do notice a lot about the openers is you always get like the dads and the sons, and it's more like a big family kind of activity thing. More say like as you go deer hunting, where it's like one hunter will go out with his bow and he'll sit in a blind all day or something like that. Like this is more of like a camaraderie, like, hey, here we are, it's hunting season.
Yep. Hey, how's it been? Oh, man, remember I saw you last year at this field. Like, hey,
Uh-huh.
how's it going?
Yeah, exactly. Then you get, the old guys that are out there, they have their over and unders, and they've been, dove hunt for 40 years, they'll tell you stories. 28 years ago, we had so many birds, we were limited out by 6 o'clock, and all this stuff. And then, then you get like the younger generations. Oh, yeah, I remember, when my dad brought me out, when I was 14 years old for my first, bird hunt. I passed my hunter safety class, and that's what got me started. That's the one thing about dove hunting I can't say is like a lot of people have that, that first time hunting story, when they shot their first bird, when their family was so proud when they brought home dinner, you know what I mean? Different things like
Yeah.
that. So it's
Well,
definitely cool.
I guess speaking of dinner, what's your favorite way to prepare these things?
Oh man, let me tell you, the doves. I mean, you got to get a lot of them, to have a good meal. But definitely, what you want to do is buy at least probably 2 pounds of bacon. I know that's probably the most common, setup with dove there. So what I do, once I get home, I clean the birds. I love to keep them fresh, so I'll actually put them in the freezer. Enough, I'll put them in the freezer for about 4 to 5 hours because I want to make sure, they're a little not frozen all the way, but a little bit frozen just in case there's any, bacteria or something that needs to, get
Yeah.
rid of it. So from there, I make a mixture of what I do is I wash the birds, get them wet, whatever, clean them, stick them in a big bowl. I fill it up with about a quarter of soy sauce. And then from there, I use melted butter, so I put butter in there. I squeeze a couple lemons in there. I add just a little bit of garlic salt, and then I use probably about say a half a cup of brown sugar. So I sprinkle that all around the brown sugar, and then I actually use pancake syrup. So I'll use pancake syrup because it's a little bit stickier. So with the pancake syrup, once you get it on the meat, it actually holds the flavor on the meat longer. I'll put some in there. I would say maybe like a half a cup of pancake syrup or so.
Mhm.
And I'll let that sit for about every 2 hours. I switch everything over. So I get my hand in there, mix it all around, make sure it, gets a nice, good, even amount of, sauce and stuff on there. So within the next day, I would say I would start cooking probably around like, for lunchtime. And then I'll put it on the barbecue there, cook it all the way through. And every time I flip it, dip it, and put it back on the barbecue. But the last two flips, obviously I don't use, the same sauce because I don't want, the old blood or whatever is in there. So I let that cook through. But man, I tell you what, even people that think it's "Oh, I'm not going to eat a dove," they try it. They're like, okay, I kind of want some more.
Yeah.
But it's so delicious. I mean, I wish that doves were the size of like whole chickens, because can you imagine
Yeah.
how much meat you get per bird?
My brother did something different this year. He sent me a picture of it. He made like a dove pot pie.
Oh wow,
So
okay.
yeah, he got all his, slow cooked it in the pot pie style with the onions and the carrots and the celery and all that, and the like the cream of mushroom or whatever he might have used, cream of chicken, and made like a pot pie out of it, and it looked really good. He said it was awesome. Did like
Oh,
a
that sounds
biscuit, just did like a
delicious.
biscuit crust on top and threw it in the oven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And he
that
said,
sounds delicious.
yeah, and he said it came out tender. It kind of just, the dove soaked up all the flavor and the juices, and it just it all worked out really well. So
Oh
just a
yeah.
different way, and I've heard different ways. Guys making chilies out of it. Guys doing all sorts of stuff. So
Yeah,
it's
I've heard of
cool because a lot of guys do the poppers and the jalapeno
mhm.
poppers with them.
I was just gonna say that the jalapeno popper.
That's like
Yeah.
the standard. It seems like bacon wrapped
Yeah, exactly. Man,
because
it's like it's
they
not
are
even
lean
close to
little
lunchtime,
birds.
but I'm like, dang, I'm kind of hungry now. Just thinking about this.
Well, Andrew, it was good talking and good finally getting to just meet you, over the phone like this. I've read a bunch of your stuff, obviously, and we just want to continue to keep hearing from you, and hopefully we'll get you back on here soon.
Oh, of course, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah. But now hunting season's in full effect, and pretty soon the trout season's gonna start. So
yeah. What's your next hunt?
I would say my next hunt probably be this weekend. I might head out to Barstow out there. I've heard there's a lot of birds. They're just really high flyers, and I got a buddy out there that has a couple good spots.
Okay,
So I usually go, hunt out there. So yeah, probably by like Saturday morning, I think I'll go do a morning hunt, and then
yeah,
maybe even do an evening hunt too. So we'll see.
cool. Well, I'm sure we'll hear about it in next week's paper.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right, man. We'll talk to you. Thank you.
Okay, talk to you later.
Before we jump right into it with Larry from GOFISH.ROCKS, let's talk about the cover of Western Outdoor News real quick. A couple big bluefin hoisted up there by the Lex Sea at a Dana Wharf Sport Fishing. It looks like the bluefin tuna are really highlighting that offshore action right now, as that Dorado and Yellowtail seem to have kind of vacated the kelps. Looks like we're in the cover here. We got Monterey tuna for the holiday weekend. It sounds like there's a little bit of that bluefin tuna trickling all the way as far north as Monterey up into Santa Cruz as well. And then obviously the dove opener yield mixed results. We just heard that from Mac there. Each day after that first day seemed to slow down just a little bit for a lot of the guys as the pressure was really on. And without taking up any more of your time here, folks, let's just jump right into it with GoFish.ROCKS. Can you explain the functionality of the fish counts and how they work? It's kind of a different way of looking at things. It's a graph, so it's more data driven.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, when we started this whole process out, we're a company called thefinalcode.com, and we're a software development company. We've been developing applications and websites and whatever for over 20 years. And we had, Channel Island sportfishing.com came to us a while back and said, hey, we wanted to make our fish count a little bit more interesting. And so they have the first iteration of it still running on their current website, which, is basically just the first step where we're taking like all these fish reports that are everywhere to seem to basically take a single day, a single boat, and say, here's all the fish that were caught, how many rockfish, comma, how many link cod, comma. And then so you got to really, as a fisherman, they got to go look at a bunch of individual websites, look at a bunch of individual boats, sit there and read all the individual lines. And we were like thinking, well, if this is all data, why isn't it in a database? Because then if you wanted to, you could go to a website and say, well, just show me this fish, or just show me these fish, or just show me what gets caught in this time range. And so like the system, like right now, if I'm on your website and I'm loading Channel Islands sport fishing, because that was the origin, and I see that the thing pulls up, the daily report, and it has all the tables on there. And if you go look like September 6th, it says there's 6 boats. And if you click on the 6, it'll open up. Now it'll give you that same data people are accustomed to, the individual boat name, the trip type, how many people are on the boat, and what are all the fish they caught. But it groups them also, So you can just see the day and individualize it and group it, for the dock total of the day. But what's nice is you can go down to the graph area. And like right now, if you go to the graph area, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fish on there. And you can see like the Barracuda is like the high point. The Barracuda had on August 27th, 251 caught. So if I say, well, I don't care about Barracuda, I can just click on the little gold box next to Barracuda, and you'll see that it drops that data out. Now the line chart just shows the other ones. I said, well, now next is California sheephead. I don't care about that. And I click on that, and then you can see now the white sea bass had the high point on the graph. Why is that cool? Well, I can just run a date range, and I can kind of see a trend based on what fish were reported caught by which boats, who's bringing in the most. And if I said, well, I only care about certain things, you can go up to search the database, and now because we're loading all the individual days into a database, now you can query the data. And you can say, well, you can go click on type and say, type in search and say, I said white sea bass. And as you type the word, you'll see the fish will get added. And then say that and bluefin. Of course, everybody wants that bluefin. And then, yellowtail. So, as I go and add some of these, and I'll add halibut. So then I say, well, what boats? And I say, well, I don't care which boat I catch on. I want to catch all, those are the fish I want to catch on any of these things. And then what's nice is you can say, well, show me for the last 7 days. When you click on the dates area, you can say, show me 30 days, 90 days, custom range. So the reason why is if you say, well, I'm going to be fishing and then, in the next month or so. So what's been going on for the last 7 days? You click on that, you hit search, and then it squashes that data. Now, again, I only ask for certain fish. So when I go on there, I can see only the white sea bass and California halibut have been caught during that time in the last 7 days. No yellowtail and no bluefin. But that, again, is here. So what's nice is so somebody could say, well, I want to see what was caught this time last year. So what was caught in the month of in this time last year, and it'll go back and it'll kind of predict based on what ran last year, what days are the best day to catch which fish. So that was kind of cool because you can run any date range, any set of fish. You can go look at any boats or conclude all the boats and really kind of poke around a lot more. And it kind of says, well, this is a good time to go to this landing. The idea would be that, the reporting system is running on every landing you love, because then all the data could be also queried against each other. So you could say, well, do I want to fish in Morro Bay or San Diego? Where are the fish running that I'm looking for today? The other thing that's kind of cool, though, is, people were, I was talking to a bunch of fishermen about this, and they're like, yeah, I get up every morning and I go look at, the same 10 sites or some 20 sites or whatever and try to decide where to go today. And this guy was telling me, yeah, there's this one site that this boat I really liked, and I just spaced it out, and I didn't go look at them. And I went back a month later, and they're having a great run, and I forgot to look at them. So that's why we put in, you'll see a gold button on there that says Get Mobile Alert. Mobile Alert is just a way for you to go in and say, hey, if this fish or this fish or this fish ends up getting caught in this date range, send me an alert. So you can go in and put your name and say, let me know if the bluefin or the white sea bass are running in the date range of October 1st to October 15th or whenever you're going. And as any one of those boats record that fish, it sends you a text alert. And then, those fish are running, and you click that link and it just takes you right back. So typically, you get the notice as soon as the boat inputs that data. So as the boat comes in that night and they punch it in, it sends out all these alerts. So that way people can go, oh, is there a trip running tomorrow that's open that I can get on? And that was why we started tying that in with our reservation system, because it just seemed like a natural if they're looking for an alert and they know what day they want to go catch what fish on what boat.
The fact that you can see all of this at once and change the parameters of all the data and really key it into exactly what you want, and then the mobile alert on top of it to say, you get an alert that first day that stuff starts to bite, and you don't have to search through 10 or 15 websites to figure it out, is huge.
Yeah, and I mean, like for any of your listeners, if they have boats and landings that they typically like to use, if the GoFish fish count system, is something that they found attractive, I mean, they can just simply call the landing. The fish counts are free. We install it on anybody's website, for free. They have an interface. They run it for free. We don't charge anybody anything because we want to just basically, we use it for exposure. We're trying to say, hey, look at these new sets of tools that we're offering. Do they make it better? We've had minimal but really good input from a lot of the boat captains that would say, hey, did you think of this? And hey, did you think of that? And so the guys that are really wrapped around fishing on a daily basis, well, they know what would make things a little bit better for them. And like if they share that information with us at GOFISH.ROCKS, we're all ears. I mean, we're just trying to develop a better set of tools, and all the times that we're developing better software keeps us, keeps us honed in on our skills and makes it more interesting for, the fishermen to get the data. Therefore, they're on the charter boats landing longer and more likely to engage with them in the form of business.
We talked earlier about moon phases and looking at different fish counts according to that and things like that. So all that, input you guys can get can make this more efficient for the angler.
Absolutely. And I don't know, I was just going to say like the moon phase is an interesting notion. You and I were talking before we started recording about that. And that's the kind of thing, if we get that information, then we can figure out how to incorporate it. And does it, because maybe it's a filter you run and say, well, now compare this data with my moon phase, and to start looking at stuff, because it's predicting where to fish and when to fish, So, I mean, all those little tools kind of help somebody get a leg up on pulling in more fish. And the thing I've noticed, the boats, I mean, they get so slammed and they run such a long day. I'm sure you know that. And I mean, they're up early, they're up late, working all this stuff. So to be introduced, hey, here's a new way to do your fish count. They're all like, oh, I can't even think. Wait till the season's over.
What it needs to be is the full replacement, so they don't have to report their fish to multiple different things. And that's what I know when I was working on the boats and stuff. It's like, okay, hey, send your fish count in here, and then the landing gets the fish count, and then the landing updates the fish count. I was working at Dana Wharf. We were updating the fish count on our app. We were updating the fish count with the newspaper. We were updating the fish count with the website. We were updating the fish count with another website. We were putting our fish count out there 5, 6, 7 times to different avenues. If everything could just kind of come to one, like you're saying, where we get this awesome data spread of all the information, it's just going to make everything so much more streamlined for everyone in the end. It's just making that leap, I guess, that next step.
It is. And one of the things I would say is, they're still just punching in the data. This boat costs this fish and this trip type. So none of that changes. It's all still the same process. It's just a lot more robust payback if you put your data in the system. So I don't know. There's a lot of other things that we're doing in the fish count system to just kind of roll, into more things, and we'll keep developing it going forward, just to make it, more interesting and more, provide more better information for people quicker. And like I said, on demand, so you get the alerts and that sort of thing. And as we rolled it out, perfect timing is when the pandemic hit. And, it's kind of funny that was what made us roll into the GoFish reservation systems. I spent a lot of time, sitting at a landing, trying to understand, well, what are all the little things? Yeah, we all know we got to sell a ticket, and there's only a certain amount of tickets, and blah, 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 as they do these things. But what eats a lot of their day up? And so as I was in the reservation head, and I'm sitting in the landing and going there at 4 a.m. and this sort of thing, just trying to watch people check in. Why is there a big long line to check in? Oh, they have to fill out their manifest and sign it and this sort of thing. I'm like, well, what if this stuff could be automated? And as you're sitting there watching everybody hold their phone in their hand while they're standing in line, I was like, well, let's make a reservation system first off. There's a lot of things we observed that people didn't like, having to create a username and password in order to buy a ticket. And then after you create the username and password, then you have to go back in. And so a lot of the boatsters telling us, guy, everybody calls us every day saying, what's my username and password? I hate this. So why can't they, because it's a third-party system that they're using, but now the landing is fielding the customer service phone calls. So we say, well, let's not even do that. Why do we need to have them make an account? Most people today, they just want to buy stuff. They want instant gratification, get my stuff, I'm done. So we made it so like they can just click. The only data we need is what, when, and where. So they punch that, which trip they want to go in, how many people are going. Automatically sends them a text alert. Your tickets have been emailed. Your pass is sent to you. And then we also, if they have multiple people, we put in a pre-boarding manifest, because this is where we find the boats getting stuck with a lot of paperwork. I bought 4 tickets. Well, I bought 4 seats. Well, for who? Oh, Joe, Bob, Jim, and Fred. And it's like, and I'm waiting for them to get here just so they can go check in. Now we can all check in together. So we're like, well, let's make it so that if I buy 4 tickets, I can put all 4 of my guys' friends' names in there, put their phone and their email, click a button. It sends them their paperwork. With COVID came all the wisdom, like the COVID doc that the state mandated on all the boats, where they came in and said, here, you have to have everybody sign this thing. Do you have COVID? Do you ever had COVID? You ever going to get COVID? You don't have COVID. And so everybody had to sign this paperwork, and then they're supposed to store all those signatures for each boat for 3 years. So think about that. If you're a big boat, you're a big landing, let's say you got 10 boats, and they hold 30 people, 300 a day. You run 4 days a week. How many pieces of paper are you storing over a 3-year period? So we said, well, let's move it to electronics. So we took that document from, for the state, and we just put it into what we call roll. So as somebody would fill in, they buy a ticket, and as at their option and at the boat's option, it would then send them the pre-boarding manifest, so the people could have the chance to put in names. Hey, here's everybody's going. Great, because now everybody can turn in their paperwork and just get on the boat. We already got everything done. So the roll system, which is release of liability electronically, which is what we coined the title for it, that can be attached. So like as somebody fills out the pre-boarding manifest, now it sends out that document to everybody, and then they can just click on it, sign it with their phone on their finger, or on their phone with their finger, and then it sends them a copy as a PDF. Now they don't have to carry around paper all day in their pocket. And also it sends, keeps a copy for the boat in the manifest. So I can see who signed their documents. You're all good. Get on the boat. So, and those were all done through text alerts. And then we built the alert system in. So you can go in as a landing and say, hey, 24 hours before the guy gets on the boat, send him another alert, tell him to fill out the paperwork. But I feel like I'm talking a lot. The other thing that I saw was, again, the pandemic. You have all these guys all of a sudden shut down, and they have zero money coming in, and all these bills are coming in. So the bill for your reservation system, you still got to pay them. And we thought, well, guy, they already have to go through the fact that, again, we're by the Channel Islands, so the certain months the wind really blows out here, and you'll just see all the trips get canceled, sometimes 2, 3, 4 days in a row. And, so all the boat, they take the reservation, and they have to refund all the people. So they lose 3-4% of that money coming in because of the credit cards. And then the credit card companies want 3 or 4% more. Again, when you refund everybody on a day you made no money, then you have to go call everybody. Oh, there's 30 people who are supposed to go on this boat tomorrow. Call them all and say, hey, we're not going. And they would call them as a courtesy, and they still do in a lot of cases, until they get a hold of that person and say, yes, we're definitely not going. So the guy doesn't show up at 4 a.m. and sit there all alone and get all peeved. So we built into our system a go or no button also. So as a trip is coming up, if the day is going to get canceled, you click one button and it sends out a secured text message to every person's cell phone. So as you get a text, it'll say, hey, Daniel, there's an important message to you from Channel Island Sport Fishing or whatever place. And as you click on that, then it's pinging and going, okay, well, Daniel got the message because you just clicked and click to the message, and the message now says we're not going. So we can check it off in the system. So the manifest will have, a line going, or a column going all the way down. So as you hit that button one time, it blasts out all the text messages, and within minutes, 50, 60, 70% of the people respond saying, okay, I know I'm not going. And then it tells them here, if you want to get rescheduled, you let us know, and you can move to a different date. And the same is true, which has saved them a ton of time, because, you're paying some guy an hourly rate to sit there and make phone calls all day when you just lost money. So now you can just cut your losses a lot quicker, bam. And the same thing is true, like on a day that seems like, are they going to go? Are they not going to go? You can say the trip is a go, and you can then blast out saying, hey, any special messages for the day. We are going, even though the weather looks a little rough, we'll be fine, or whatever. So again, it was just in a way to save those guys time so they can click one button, because a lot of them don't have a bunch of people working at them. They have extra man hours to go around and do all these little
start making all those phone calls
tasks.
to all the people making the reservations.
Yeah, and the phone's not a very effective communication source anymore. A lot of people don't answer their phones.
Yeah, if it's a phone number, the first thing you do, if you look at your phone, you don't recognize the number, you usually just send them straight to voicemail.
Yep.
So that's awesome. I love how that system is so simple, yet it gets everything you need in one place, and then, like you said, you could send them those notifications all at once, and then see that they've received them so quickly. Rather than doing all those phone calls. So that's going to be a huge thing for the landings and for the passengers. Really, it's really all around an easier system to use.
Yeah, and that's why we're finding that the people, once they use it, we've had nothing but good feedback. There was concerns in the beginning that, gosh, you guys are actually charging the fishermen, And it's always up to the boat and the landing how they want to display that. But I think it's perfectly fine and understandable. Fishermen know how hard the guys work and how long the day is at the boat. So when the boat, is having to give up what little profits they make, for all these erroneous things like reservation systems on top of, the harbor taxes that we all have to pay, the the percentage fee that goes to the credit card for the convenience of them getting all that. So, you really start chiseling down the ability for the boat to even survive in a lot of cases, or to be able to, survive well enough to make a living wage and be there next time you want to go fishing. So when we rolled out the 99-cent charge, it was kind of an arbitrary number, because all we knew for sure was everybody was charging kind of a heavy-handed fee or a percentage. Well, and when you're, again, I sometimes some of us are like, hey, was this a good idea? I don't know. You really have to get the volume in order for this to be a workable model, which is our goal. But it just seems so, I don't know if it's lazy or greed or a combo, but just to say we want a percentage. You have some boats that go for, $5,000 for the day, and there's 30 people that get on it, so 30 buttons are clicked. And whether the boat was for $5,000 or $500, the clicks on our end are the same. It wasn't heavier handed. We need more money because you got more money. So we really wanted to stay away from that philosophy. So many of the companies that we see out there, they all want a percentage and a big piece, and it just seems greedy, and these guys are already trying to get by, and a lot of times they have to take these greedy deals where, okay, you can get 14% or 30% or whatever, just, so long as I get somebody on my boat. And that's why we're making that free directory, and I think we have like 2,000 boats on it right now, where anybody can go in and add keywords. It'll get you more expansive Google searches where the business comes directly to you. And then when somebody buys a ticket with you, you get 100% of your money. We actually don't even take our money until the close of the month. So so that way the boat gets all the money, and they can run it and try to, manage their business a lot better without so many hands in their pocket. And then, again, if the guy, has to refund a trip, our fee is minimal, but, we still don't take it, because we didn't want to have to, be like, oh, I didn't get to go, but you guys billed us 99 cents. And it's just like, kind of just didn't sit well. So we just, we wanted to do everything a little bit different. Yes, it's a lot of stuff up front for free, and a lot of stuff we're eating, like the text messages and everything else. But when we look at how the system works and we look at how the other systems work, we believe this is a better system. And if we can integrate, once we've integrated the fish counts and the reservation systems and the roll system, the manifest, and we have a few other goodies that we're going to be rolling out at the end of the year that are going to be really cool. It just allows people to, have one place where they can run everything. It makes it a lot easier, saves them admin time, saves them money, because nobody's got their hand in their pocket. Anytime they lose money, we all lose money together. So we all have skin in the same game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it's you guys are definitely looking forward and not getting stuck in the same old ways. A lot of these, like these reservation systems kick you over to a whole nother website, and you end up chasing your tail for a while before you're figuring it out a lot of the times. And I think keeping it simple, like you said, and just having it all in one place is huge.
Yeah, and that's I didn't even think about that. The fact that you have all these directories that are not trying to showcase your boat or your landing's personal data. Because like as you go to the third party systems, and you leave that website, all of a sudden it's kind of like the Yelp model. If you think about it, Yelp has gone through and grabbed every business and put their information in there, and then as you look at that business, the one you were looking up, here's all their competitors. So I might accidentally, get exposed to another boat, or not accidentally. It's not just done by design. But then I'm going to lose some of my business now to a different boat because they said something, or they were twinkling, or whatever, that is unnecessary. And it's so hard to get somebody to come to your website and do what you made your website for. I want them to come here, and I want them to conduct business with me and do a certain, process. Buy a ticket, look at my fish count. And so, by having your information somewhere else, you're not helping yourself, you're hurting yourself. And you really need to, one of the biggest things that I would want any boater landing to know, when you're trying to compete every day with all the other boats around you and everybody's Googling, and yes, they all have their favorite websites that they look at, but there's a huge stream of people every day that are just using genericized terms. Bluefin tuna, San Diego, yellowfin, Oxnard, whatever. And a lot of people just leave out all that important information on their boat. They barely put up pictures, or they put up one picture from the day. And, you're really trying to get the people to get a better, first off, you want to have as many lines in the water as you can. So like if you're like constantly releasing information and saying 300 words, oh, today we did this and we did that. And I saw like some captains used to use audio reports. They would just record their phone. Hey, today out on the water we saw this and this. Well, if they were to run those recordings, but also transcribe that text and put it on their website every day, and making sure I'm adding bluefin tuna, San Diego, yellowfin, Oxnard, or whatever it is that I find is the term or the people I'm trying to attract. Then you're going to bubble up to the top in the Google search results, therefore yielding you more people also. So, I see a lot of people, they get these websites, they got them built in, 1999, and they still got the same dang website with the same old stuff. And it's like, really, you guys go out, 100 times on summer, and nobody's got a GoPro, nobody's got a camera phone. Grab some video, grab some pictures, tell us about your day. It would really help fortify everybody's position if there was more interactivity and more content like that. Like everybody puts it, because everybody then puts it on YouTube, and then you put it on YouTube, and now YouTube, everybody's going there instead of your website. And you can make a YouTube channel, but it's going to be cross-indexed with every competitor's YouTube channel. So really, you want to figure out, how do I generate content for me on my site where I can benefit from everything that's going on that my business created. And that content, which they see every day, is something that would really help them prevail. And, like when we redid your website, you guys just wanted something that you could control certain functions and things that you needed. So we just went and got all the tools that you needed and set it up that way. And I would say the one thing that was the most challenging, by the way, was the 10-day turnaround that we had. So that was cool. But like I said, the site, you can get one that does everything that you need it to, and you can get it done quickly. It doesn't have to be like pulling teeth. And really, most of the content comes from somebody's current website. Then we just give them a little training here. Now you can go add stuff on your own. You don't even need to pay anybody. Now your website only costs you $1 a day, for a good speed server and site, and you're off to the races. So that's it. So we're hoping if they go with GoFish, if you need a website, we'll help you with your SEO. Here, pop in our fish count. Need reservation system. You need us to crawl and get your old data and import it. We do all that for free. Why? Just because once somebody uses the system, we're confident that they're going to find comfort in it and they're going to stay here for a long time. And it's a long-term investment on our part.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You're giving a product that's constantly changing. You guys are keeping it up to date, integrating new systems into it. Like we just talked about that moon phase thing. How can we get that integrated into the fish counts? You're constantly bringing in data and new information and suggestions and acting upon it. So I think that's something that's different with what you guys are doing than some of these other, fish counts and reservation systems and stuff like that. You're actually paying attention to the data.
Well, yeah, and we just want to give it back to the guys that are going to use it. Again, we're a bunch of, web nerds, so basically, I mean, the ample amount of information the fishermen have, the boats have, the landings have, the captains, if they would, have conversations where we just hear about what they're looking for. What this is the worst part of my day. I have to do this and it takes so long. Those are the little things that, we're not saying we got all the answers, but, bottom line is we're in the solution providing business. That's what we do all day long. Somebody comes over and says, I need this to happen. I can't do it. And, when you're outside of the problem and you're like, oh, what if you did this? The answers come a lot easier because you're not, weighted down by a bunch of, oh, this can't happen or this won't work. So I would just encourage anybody out there, if they had an idea on, hey, this would be really cool. You know what I'd like? And I think this would be great. You can email me directly at Larry@GOFISH.ROCKS. Give us a call. Love to talk to anybody that has some insight on how, the systems could be better or what they're looking for. This would save them time, give her a bigger view of what they're looking to do. That sort of thing, that's with the input, we're going to be able to benefit all of us.
So far, I like the system. Having visuals like that and having it so simple to make reservations and things. It's just like you said, streamlining the whole process. Well, Larry, I think that's going to about wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for being with us, and looking forward to keeping this thing going.
Yep, and like I said, if anybody out there is interested in taking a look at it, as the season slows down, that's usually the best time. We'll set up a free demo. They can go play with it, embed it, do whatever they want, and see if it works for them. And like I said, I think our customer service is second to none. So, we're trying to always be available 24/7. I'm sure your guys in the back can tell you about that. So, like I said, it's not a sales pitch, but we do want to see more fish counts, installed on more websites, and if anybody, and then our system, by the way, comes with the free website page that already has your fish count and reservation system on it. So even if somebody doesn't have their own website, they could get it all set up tomorrow and not have to pay anything. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys again too, Daniel, and thanks for taking your time with me today.
All right, folks, and that's going to conclude episode 34 of the Western Outdoor News Podcast. For more information on trips, charters, and events that WO News is hosting, visit WOnews.com. Thanks.